This new 508 is the latest in a long line of Peugeot Saloons, but it's the first one in a long time you might actually want to buy with your own money. Peugeot talks about this car being a real game changer. That's the buzzword they're bandying around for this car. They think it's so good that they actually might be able to persuade you out of buying an Audi A5 Sportback. Wishful thinking? Here are the 6 ways Peugeot thinks it's changing the game with the 508. Now, traditional mass-market family saloons look so boring, don't they? That's one of the reasons we've all switched to SUVs. This definitely doesn't look boring. You've got a really cool sloping fastback rear, you've got frameless door glass, just like a real coupe, long bonnet, and at the front, these cool daytime running light fangs to give it some bite. And is it just me, or is there something of Lamborghini's stillborn Estoque Panamera rival, particularly around the back, where you'll find a bar of cool LEDs? Okay, so maybe it is just me. But you have to admit, this is a pretty striking looking car, and the great news is the interior is every bit as interesting. As soon as you climb in the 508, you can see that this is a world away from something sensible like a Skoda Octavia. Again, I'm reminded of the Lamborghini. You've got this tiny flat bottom and flat top steering wheel, and also in the way the dashboard stretches horizontally across the car, emphasizing the width. The other thing you notice inside this car is the quality is really good. The materials don't just look cool, like this carbon effect weave trim here, they also feel really good, and that hasn't always been a given, has it, in French cars? And Peugeot says that this perceived quality is also matched by actual quality beneath the surface. For instance, they weld and bond the structure of the body together like premium manufacturers do in luxury cars, and they say you can really benefit and really feel the benefit from that on the road. So one of the ways you benefit from that stiffer structure is in lower road noise levels. It really does make this car a great long distance motorway companion. And that's not to say it can't be fun on these roads either. It's not the last word in ride and handling, but it's pretty competent in the bends. It's got quick steering and the ride's quite good as well. This car's got adaptive dampers, comfortable in normal mode, switch it to sport, and body control is impressive. Sticking with the comfort theme, well, first thing I'll say is I love these sport seats, loads of support, really comfortable as well on long journeys. But there's also plenty of room in the front, lots of leg room, lots of headroom here, loads of leg room in the back, and the headroom in the back is not too bad either, considering that coupe roofline, but you definitely have to duck underneath the roof to get through. But of course, if space is a real priority, then there's always the SW Estate version. So just as if space is a priority, you go for the Estate. If speed is a priority, then you'd probably go for one of the petrol engines like this 1.6 litre turbo. There's a couple that are available. There's a 180 horsepower version and a 225 horsepower. They're both reasonably brisk, but they're probably not the perfect engines for this car, actually. The real winners are further down the line. Cars like the 1.5 litre diesel, the entry-level car, that's a really efficient bit of kit. It'll do 98 grams per kilometre and over 76 miles per gallon. Impressive stuff.
It's capable of those figures not only because the engine itself is so efficient, but because the whole car is. Compared to the old 508, this one is 60mm closer to the ground and 80mm short to enter.
508 isn't the cheapest car in its class. Prices start at just over 25,000, when you can get into an admittedly lower spec rival for closer to 20, and they stretch to over 35,000 for something like this GT car with the massage seats and all the bells and whistles. But they're all well equipped. Even the basic active model has satellite navigation and a mirror link system. And it's not just how much it costs to get into a car that matters, it's how much it costs you to get out of it at the other end. And historically, that's been a really bad thing for big Peugeots. The 508 residuals were absolutely terrible last time around. They're much better for this new 508. They're twice as good, in fact, according to Peugeot, who's got a real lens to keep a cap on the depreciation by not discounting the fleets and even buying back dealer demonstrators to kind of keep a handle on those residual values, which is, as a private buyer, that's really important, isn't it? Now, you might be thinking, well, why do I care about residual values? I'm not going to buy a car outright with cash. I'm going to lease my car, but lease rates are determined by residual values, because basically what you're doing is paying for the depreciation. So that means this car should be really cost effective to run month to month compared to something like an Audi A5 Sportback. The 508 might not have the badge kudos of an Audi A5 Sportback, but it is available with a lot of the same clever technology. Now, we've done a series of videos that focus on those individual bits of technology. But if I was going to talk about one now, talk about the iCockpit, centered around this small steering wheel and the instrument binnacle above it. This is something we've seen on Peugeots for quite a few years now, but it hasn't always worked. Here it works a lot better. In fact, we're getting used to it as well. A lot of people will love it, a lot of people will hate it, but it really is starting to work. It's starting to make sense. And above all, what it does is it gives Peugeot, it gives this car a bit of identity, some kind of personality that sets it apart from other cars in the class.
In a way, iCockpit sums up everything Peugeot's trying to do with this car. The 508 doesn't necessarily lead the class for space or for ride and handling, but the design and features like iCockpit make it stand out, give it real personality, and that can only be a good thing.